When I was a teenager, I would be constantly hung up over the fact that I didn't have a girlfriend, which is pretty common for a lot of teen boys. Your hormones are out of whack, you feel like your only sense of validation is having a partner in your life, but looking back at some of the high school relationships I've observed from the outside, doesn't really seem like I was really missing much because how many teen relationships don't end up crashing and burning exactly? But I'm 23 now, and for the past few years I haven't really paid much thought to the fact that I'm not in a relationship still. The one who easily gives me the most shit about this is my dad. Just the other day we were talking on the phone and he was saying, "You still haven't found a girlfriend? What the fuck are you waiting for? Don't you want to find someone to fuck?" And I love my dad and all, but he's always had a pretty shallow view on relationships. He just kind of wants to find someone to fuck and doesn't really care about all the other aspects that go into a relationship. Kind of explains why he can't keep a woman to save his life. And I tell my dad the same thing every time. I just don't really care. Am I completely opposed to the idea of someday being in a relationship with someone? No. Have I felt attraction to other people? Yes, absolutely. Plenty of times in the past. But it's not exactly my life goal, at least not at the moment, to find that special someone and be in a serious, committed relationship. Because honestly, for me, at least at this current point in my life, it just doesn't really sound that appealing. I'm very introverted, I tend to close myself off from other people. Is this not exactly a healthy way to live? Sure. But I'm just a person who tends to like being alone. Does this mean I never enjoy the company of other people? Obviously not. I have 3 other family members that I live with. I have friends that I meet up with. Sometimes. Humans are naturally social creatures. We thrive off the company of others, and this is also true for someone like me who has really bad social anxiety. I don't think there are many people out there who enjoy living in complete solitude, but obviously familial relationships and friendships are very different from romantic relationships. Your partner is the person you're the most intimate with, someone who, at the very least, to the best of your abilities, always there for emotionally, and that's a roadblock. I'm not a very tender person. Now, if someone does choose to confide in me about their problems, that doesn't mean I'll be like, fuck off, don't bother me with your problems. I'll still, of course, listen and try to be a sense of comfort for the person, but I've never really viewed myself as the greatest shoulder for someone to lean on. Because a lot of the times, I just don't know what to fucking say. When someone is in distress and I'm trying to think of something to comfort them, I have a lot of self-doubt over what I am about to say to them. I think things like, ooh, is this really something they want to hear? Does this come across as too cold or unintentionally insensitive? Again, this isn't me saying, don't bother me with your problems. It's just me saying, I don't know if I'm that good at being a source of comfort. And that's partly what dissuades me from being in a relationship. I don't know if I would always be emotionally available or an adequate source of emotional support for a partner. And you might think this is me being defeatist and having the rationale of, well, I have some character flaws just like anyone else in the fucking world, and I'm using them as an excuse to not pursue a relationship. While on top of me preferring to be alone and not exactly excelling when it comes to emotional support, I'm just plain not interested in being in a relationship. And that simple fact supersedes any other reason I've stated for not being in a relationship. And this is purely my choice. This isn't me spitting on the concept of romantic relationships or anything. If anyone watching this is in a happy relationship with someone else, then I'm happy for you. I just don't see why I have to rationalize not being in a relationship. Too many people think the be-all, end-all when it comes to finding happiness is being in a relationship and having sex. There is way more to life than those two things, and there are plenty of other sources of happiness out there in the world. But a lot of people seem to have this perception that life is a Disney movie. You find your beautiful princess, or you find your Prince Charming, marry them, and you live happily ever after. And I think that is such a stupid notion, because the be-all, end-all of your life shouldn't just be finding a partner, and when you do find that special someone, that doesn't mean you're automatically happy and are satisfied with every single aspect of your life. And I think this is what at least partially leads to a lot of people ending up in relationships they're not happy in. They want that Disney fairy tale ending for themselves. Society constantly drills into their heads that they need to find a partner, or else their life will have this big gaping hole that can't be satiated any other way. But there are some people who just prefer to be alone, or they feel at this current point in time they are not ready to tackle the responsibilities of being in a committed relationship. I am only 23. Unless tomorrow I get hit by a truck or some shit, I am pretty sure I have a lot of life left to live. I don't feel like I need a partner at this point in my life. I don't feel invalid. I don't feel like I'm less than anyone else at my age who does have a partner. And because I'm only 23, that means my perspective can absolutely change in the future. But for the time being, I am happy being by myself. I don't know why this is such a hard concept for people to grasp. I don't think rushing into a committed relationship when you're like fresh out of high school or in your early 20s is a very smart idea because you're still developing as a person. You're still figuring life out. You can take time to get your life in order before you pursue a serious relationship. Live your own life at your own pace. And don't fall for the incel bullshit that you're too ugly or undesirable or you're this or you're that. There's 8 billion people in this world. There has to be someone out there who would find you desirable, so long as you don't keep up with the defeatist line of thinking, and are actually committed to putting yourself out there and truly desire a relationship. And not to mention, of course, a lot of incels are some of the most misogynistic, unpleasant people on the planet, so maybe that also has something to do with why you're not getting laid. But anyway, I bet there will be at least some people who watch this video and think, this is all just cope. I bet this guy really is just seething over the fact that he is not in a relationship. Which, I mean, if you think that, whatever, I assume there's nothing I can say that'll convince you otherwise, so I don't really see a point in arguing against that. But all in all, if I ever do find that special someone someday, great. If I don't, I think I'll survive. That's all I have to say. Bye-bye.